I've been looking at the ground, but I ain't getting any higher.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for downloading the Voice of Bedlam podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Santoro. We got a great show planned out for you guys today. Got a big crew up here today. A lot of members of the VOB crew. A little bit more than usual. So let's get into everybody. Let's start off with my man, Devil John. John, what's going on?
Feeling that the weekend is very near, and I can't wait because for some reason I've been sleeping really crappy lately. So
Yeah, I got 2 kids. I always sleep crappy.
Yes, but I don't have kids, so I have no excuse.
No excuse.
So, but pass it along to the other parent. How you doing down there, Sean?
I'm doing good, John.
Sean, get in your mic a little bit, man.
I had 2 days off last weekend. Now I have 3 days off in a row. I don't have to work on Sunday. I'm getting out of here for the weekend, and so let's get going with the show. That's what's going on with me.
But also, only for what? The second time we actually got in person King Kojo, Colin Johnson.
Lucky number 2, guys. It's good to see you for the second time in my life. John, this is literally the 3rd time I've seen you in person in my life. How you doing down there?
I'm a lot better than the day that I last saw you at the zoo.
Yeah?
That day was hot as blazes, dude.
It really was.
You can be kind of like today.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, that sun was out for vengeance. But you know what?
We all made it.
Speaking of going out with vengeance, why don't you tell them how they can go out there with
some style,
and competitive edge?
There you go. If you guys want to compete with flair, you guys need to hit up BigLeagueShirts.com. These guys can handle any type of customized jersey you need. They don't just do jerseys; they do all types of screen printing. Go over to BigLeagueShirts.com. Customize your order today. But as a bonus, if you guys call 913-909-9236 and mention Bedlam, you'll get $50 off your first order from BigLeagueShirts.com. So go up, customize your order there, and then give them a call and tell them Bedlam sent you, and you're going to save $50. Who else we sponsored by, John?
I'm going to say that we're sponsored by Kiani, who is a health and wellness company that offers pioneering and life-changing results. Now, you can click the link that's in the ad below, and you're going to use the promo code PillsNoMore as your username, okay? And then you can see what Kiani can do for you. Maybe even try out the Nitro Extreme, boost your energy, help your cardiovascular system. So hit up Kiani today, where Kiani is wellness simplified.
All right. Now, before we get into today's daily breakdown, let's take a quick second and tell everybody about Bedlam's Fantasy.
It's a big news, everybody.
All right, well, Bedlam's Fantasy is presented by DraftKit. You guys have got to check out DraftKit.com. They hooked us up with this sweet trophy and draft board and some labels for the live draft we're going to be having at Mother's Bar and Grill August 20th. So just about a month from today, pretty much. Today's the 21st. August 20th. Make sure you guys get down to Mother's about 4:30. We'll probably get things really rolling about 5. Now, the draft is going to be held at Mother's. Then we're doing a show from the bar, and then there's going to be a huge ass after party, live music, some great bands playing. I don't think we have everybody on the do we know everybody that's on the bill yet?
Not yet, but there's going to be a little bit of a debut of my new group that I did with my guitar player from Beneath the Dead Sky, and we got a new drummer and a new bass player, which is a special guest, which you'll have to find out who that is when you go to the show.
Definitely come down, have a couple drinks, hang out with us, be on the show live.
And remember, all your draft needs, you guys got to get over to draftkit.com. And also, we're going to be having
fantasy podcast to the next level. Don't be like everybody else and just be like, yeah, I was the champion. It's like, you were the champion, but where's your trophy? Where's your trophy? And don't tell me that somebody stole their nephew's WWE belt and then put duct tape on top of it. But world champion. Come on, no, guys, take it to the next level.
Remember, guys,
be pro.
If you want to compete for that trophy, just email me at staff@voiceofbedlam.com. And
you gotta make sure it's before August 1st, though. That's your deadline, guys. August 1st.
All right, but we'll be talking about the draft plenty. But for now, why don't we get things rolling with today's Daily Breakdown? All right, first up, Carson Wentz not looking so good. A lot of reports coming out that the number 2 overall draft pick, if it was a game week, they wouldn't even have him active, it's looking like. So stuck at the number 3 spot, and it doesn't seem like it's getting any better. Now, Colin, you did an article, if not now, then Wentz. Why don't you tell us a little something what's going on with the boy in Philly?
Well, it's not anything that's necessarily a surprise to a lot of people who've been following the Eagles fans, specifically since the NFL draft. They took a risk. They obviously traded from 13 to 8 with trading contracts like Byron Maxwell's, Kiko Alonso's over to the Miami Dolphins. So then you got 8. They move up to get the quarterback, losing essentially 3 draft picks in the process for a 1 AA quarterback who a lot of people are just not buying into the fact that a 1 AA quarterback is worthy of a top 2 overall pick, let alone ready to start day one in an NFL offense. So that's why a lot of people aren't surprised that Sam Bradford is going to be the starter, it seems. Chase Daniel will be the backup. And Doug Peterson comes out and says already, we have 48 days actually to go till NFL season kickoff. And he's already saying that Carson Wentz not going to be active for game 1. Is anyone else necessarily surprised, any of you 3?
No, I said this from day 1. But, John, what do you guys say?
I don't want to be that guy, but I guess we also have proof with all these episodes. But didn't I say that you guys were going to waste that pick on him?
It depends on what do you consider it to be a waste. It is only
because
so
I wouldn't want, if I was an Eagles fan, I wouldn't want him starting yet.
When you use a first-round pick, you expect that player to go out and play day 1.
Not me. Especially not if it's a quarterback.
If it's a number 2
what's
overall
the point
pick,
of drafting him in the first round?
Why does the kid got to go out there and get the snot kicked out of him and look terrible when he can get schooled under a good veteran and come in like everyone has done from the beginning of time, with the exception of Ryan Leaf, which went terrible, and then they really started doing that with when they really started doing it that big with like Tavares Jackson and stuff like that starting day 1. Do you know what I mean? Everybody rode the bench for a little bit and came in later, and that's just the right way to do it, and it works out better.
You're talking about 3 different possible scenarios with Carson Wentz. You're talking about starting him week 1. You're talking about putting him as probably the number 2 quarterback, which is where I would put him.
I'd want him at the number 2,
Or shutting him down for pretty much the entire season, which Doug Peterson has decided to do. And
why would he have to shut him down for the whole season, though?
That's what the
you don't have to.
You can't shut him down you can't come out and say that you're going to shut him down for the whole season. Injuries are going to happen. You can't necessarily put that in paper.
He's deactivated, though. He's not
deactivated. They're saying
he can't dress as long as he's a 3rd-string quarterback. They can only dress 53 players. He would be the first man out.
Yeah, I understand that.
He's inactive.
But he's not inactive right now. It's not even preseason.
Absolutely, you're right.
It's a 90-man roster. You can't call him inactive. He would be inactive if it was week 1.
But why is Doug Peterson, before training camp even starts, putting Carson Wentz as inactive?
Well, what we're saying is he's likely going to be inactive come week 1. That is the statement that Doug Peterson has stated. It's probably backed up by Jeffrey Lurie. It's probably backed up by Howie Roseman. It seems like the right thing to do, considering they signed Sam Bradford 2 months before the draft to an $18 million a year contract. He's not going to come in.
How much did Chase Daniels get? He got a big pay, too.
Way too much for a backup quarterback.
Coming out of KC. But Chase Daniels is definitely the coach's boy, and he's the one that wanted him over there. That's been made pretty clear. But talking about Wentz, but really just talking about young quarterbacks in general, I always think it's better for the new kid to ride the bench. You're talking about the number 2 overall pick. Eli was the number 1 overall pick, and then the Giants traded an arm and a leg to get him from San Diego, and he rode the bench for 8 weeks behind Kurt Warner, and Eli got him kicked out of made us be out of contention for the playoffs. Kurt Warner had us at 6-2. Eli Manning made us finish 7-9.
There's a couple ways I see this playing out. I mean, with Carson Wentz being inactive, which I don't necessarily like he's going to be inactive for at least a couple weeks, I would imagine. You got Chase Daniel as the backup. You got Sam Bradford as the starter. Like, I want Carson Wentz, I should say, to be the number 2 quarterback because he's got to get his reps in. Like, because Sam Bradford is inevitably going to get hurt, and Chase Daniel might be ineffective. So if Chase Daniel is number 2, eventually when it comes down to the middle of the season, I'm saying probably week 8 or 9, Carson Wentz has got to get in there. He's got to get.
Oh, I would hope so by week 8 or 9. I would hope so. I wouldn't want my quarterback to ride the bench all year.
And I've been on record saying that I want Carson Wentz in there week 1, and I still stand by that. But making Carson Wentz inactive. And that's
well, he's not inactive yet. They're saying he would,
but but he could be, and that would be indefinite.
And now one last question.
Well, no, it's not indefinite. You get a 53-man roster. He would be on the 53-man roster. Then Sunday, the activated players comes out, which is only 45. Now, depending on who was injured and this and that, he would dress or not. That's all they're saying.
It's the argument between him and a special teams guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's still the third string.
Yeah, he's
Sean,
still the third string.
you're saying you want him
Still the
dressed
third.
being the backup, but I would imagine the $7 million to Chase Daniel has something to do with it. Nobody wants to pay the $7 million a year to their third string quarterback. He's got the shortest leash on the team is likely Chase Daniel, but it's going to go into the season 1, 2, and 3. Bradford, Daniel, Wentz, and I think that is okay. I think it's a little bit overblown that he's saying it 48 days in advance, but I don't think everyone should really be surprised.
It's definitely overblown. But my point is if if Carson Wentz was drafted number 2 overall, I want him getting his reps in, and I'm wanting him getting them in fairly early.
I think we'll have another discussion about it after preseason.
If Chase Daniel is number 2 quarterback, there's a possibility that Carson Wentz doesn't see the field. He doesn't get his first NFL snap. Maybe even all year.
Worked for Aaron Rodgers. There's always examples of both.
Exactly. There's way more examples of sitting the bench. I wouldn't want my quarterback out for the year.
Aaron Rodgers to Carson Wentz.
It's unfair advantage, but
a fair comparison.
You're right.
All right, but let's take a break here and tell everybody about Podbean. Now, if you're listening to this show, it went up on Podbean first, all right? So if you guys want to start your own show, you guys need to go to podbean.com and sign up today. But when you go over there, go to podbean.com/r/bedlam, BEDLAM, and you'll get your first month free. Unlimited bandwidth, your first month free, so you can really try everything out. It won't cost you anything. Get it out there, see if people like it, and decide if you guys want to start your own show. Go to podbean.com/r/bedlam now for a month free. All right, but we'll keep moving along with today's daily breakdown. Now, kind of a little shocking here. Eugene Monroe, former Raven, has announced his retirement. Now, in an article to the Players Tribune, Monroe formally announced his retirement Thursday and cited concerns over concussions and his long-term health as the primary reason behind his decision to call it a career. Now, he's quoted as saying, "I'm going to miss the excitement of being part of something that so many people love so much." An emotional roller coaster gets underway at the beginning of every NFL season. Passion and emotion runs high in the league as they do in other professions. On any team in the NFL, you can feel intensity of the game simply by walking into the practice facility every morning, end quote. Now, according to Connor Orr of NFL.com, the 29-year-old Virginia grad and the former number 9 overall pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars has played 93 games over his 7-year career. He was with Jacksonville until he got dealt over to Baltimore for 2 picks, a 4th round and a 5th round pick, and he signed a long-term deal with the Ravens since then. Now, just to remind you guys, this is the dude who's all pro marijuana.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about the early retirement? And now he got cut kind of surprisingly by the Ravens a couple months ago. There was plenty of teams trying to pick him up, so I guess he's just scared of concussions. John, what do you think about this?
Well, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but there's maybe something that was whispered in his ear and was like, look, go away.
You think so?
And that's why the Ravens got rid of him. And then that's enough to scare a man and really think about the crazy things that can go on behind closed doors. But honestly, if he's citing what he's citing, why are we looking any further? Because the science is new. It's new science.
Well, it's not like he's a one-year player either. I mean, he did only play 7 years, and then he got cut. He had interviews with the Niners, interviews with the Giants. I really want him to go on the Giants. He has had a lot of injuries, though, at the same time. Not even just like concussion-type things, but he has had a lot of injuries. He hasn't really played months over the past 2 years.
As far as the NFL goes, is a pretty lengthy career.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's twice the average.
But he pretty much missed the entire last year.
Yeah, but the whole thing about this is, and I don't want to try to mix up too many sports here, but in fighting, all it takes is one hit to be knocked out.
Yep. I would imagine his name's not going anywhere. Look for him to join the NFL Players Association as a health lobbyist, if nothing but.
You got
he's
a good
going to
point.
definitely keep his name in the NFL. He's going to continue fighting for what he had been fighting for.
His name might pop up in sports articles here and there.
Sooner than later.
Regarding the NFL's,
Policy on marijuana.
On drugs in general.
On drugs, yeah, exactly.
All right, well, Eugene Monroe, he was 6'6", 315 pounds, and went to... No. I meant to say Eugene Monroe is being replaced by 6'6", Ronnie Stanley, 315 pounds, coming out of Notre Dame. Now, he was the number 6 draft pick overall, and they wanted him to play behind Monroe a little bit, you know what I mean?
Sure.
They do see him as the left tackle of the future, but now the question is, did they see him as the left tackle already, or did he just get baptized by fire because of the way things went down with Monroe? Is that really what's going on here?
I think it was a great value pick for the Ravens and addressed a need.
Oh, absolutely.
Monroe missed, obviously, last year due to injury, so they had a hole at the tackle position. And I think, honestly, they probably would go into it position battle maybe during training camp, and it got that much easier when they decided at OTAs that Eugene Monroe wasn't going to be part of the squad anymore.
It was also a pretty obvious choice for the Ravens, considering what happened with Larry Tunsil on the day of the draft.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was I think the first offensive lineman taken in
Sure
the
was.
draft.
Yeah, consensus best after Tunsil.
I don't have a problem with Eugene Monroe's stance on marijuana. I completely agree with it.
Yeah,
but a lot of people don't. So let's look at the Ravens here, right? I mean, if they definitely couldn't have drafted Tunsil. I mean, they got Eugene Monroe talking about weed. They got Ray Rice knocking women out in elevators. Ozzie Newsome, what's going on down there? I mean, you really starting to get some questionable people.
Ray Lewis, you ever heard of him?
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Absolutely.
I didn't see nothing.
Since we talked about Ray Rice, we're going to get to Joe Flacco. Let's stick with the Ravens a little bit, but let's jump over to Ray Rice. He's saying, I'll donate my salary if I get another NFL chance. So Ray Rice is saying he will donate his whole salary to domestic abuse. He said to make it just to have a bigger platform for it. Now we got a quote somewhere. John, you got a quote on Ray Rice here?
Yes, and I quote, all the scrutiny that I've got, it was deserved, because domestic violence is a horrible thing, end quote.
There you go. So now he's saying he understands why people don't want him around, but he's trying to say he's changed. I mean, Janae Palmer, the woman he assaulted in the elevator at Atlantic City last year, she has since married him. That is his wife. I think Ray Rice deserves another chance. I think Ray Rice is being blackballed. Does anybody agree with me?
Yeah, there's also another
I thought
quote,
he would
though.
have another job in the NFL by now. I thought someone would give him a second chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think honestly, if he went on, he's quoted to say further, and I quote, "Me donating my salary is something that will be from the heart. For me, I only want to play football so I can end it the right way for my kids and for the people that really believed in me. But I know there's a lot of people affected by domestic violence, and every dollar helps. It's raising awareness, end quote. So
Yeah, now that's what I was talking about. I'm just trying to get a bigger platform. But let's take it over to some active players now. And Flacco is expected to be on the field with his teammates this Saturday. Now, this is coming from the Baltimore Sun. Now, Flacco drafted in the first round, 18th pick overall by the Ravens in 2008. Now, he's coming off a November MCL and ACL tear to his left knee. All right, so November, I mean, at least it wasn't December, but that's still kind of late. But they're saying he's fine, and he should be ready to at least be a partial go on Saturday. Now, he said, I'm really excited. There's always that training camp feeling that comes back to you when you're getting ready to go. This year's definitely a little bit different for me. I've had to watch the whole off season. So he hasn't been part of OTAs and workouts really. So let's see. I mean, the Ravens were definitely decimated by injuries. Since entering the league in 2008, nobody has more playoff wins than Joe Flacco, no quarterback.
Yeah.
All right. Start off going AFC East with the Buffalo Bills. Then week 2, going up to the north, going against the Browns. Then Jacksonville. Now, week 4 is really, I see, the hardest matchup in the month of September, that being against the Oakland Raiders. But, I mean, honestly, if the Ravens are healthy, they could start off this season 3-0. What do you think, Colin?
Who's Joe Flacco throwing the ball to? What wide receivers do they have left? Do they have? I'm real. Kamar Aiken.
Yeah,
he's like
Kamar
this top
Aiken,
guy.
yeah.
And when was the first time you heard of Kamar Aiken? Probably week 8 last season.
Thanks,
He's the
man.
Yeah, they were hoping that Brashard Perryman wasn't going to get hurt again and be able to come out and play this year. But but they have an older Steve Smith returning for his last season.
That's why.
You know,
the injury bug.
And honestly, there's not too many wide receivers that you're like, oh my goodness, these Ravens are going to be somebody to mess with.
They got Mike Wallace over there.
Yeah, but he's
Yeah,
older
Yeah,
as
Mike-
well.
well, Mike Wallace hasn't been anything. I mean, you remember the
he
money
hasn't-
Miami gave him?
Mike Wallace has not been impressive over the last couple of
And
years.
Brashad Perriman missed the entire season with a PCL strain, and they're still not having him practice with the rest of the guys. So he's got everything to prove. He was taken in the first round. First round wide receivers are expected to produce in today's NFL by at least year 2, or they're calling you a bust already.
I like Joe Flacco, but this is like going to be one of those years where he's going to have to pull, and I don't want to sound pompous either, but a Cam Newton, and he has to get the job done with wide receivers that nobody knows.
He's got one more Super Bowl win.
Well, people
Cam
know Kamar Aiken, let's really see what he can do. I'm having some trouble with Pro Football Focus right now bringing him up, but I was trying to bring up Kamar Aiken. I wanted to see what they thought about him. I mean, we all know that Wallace is really, he's really seemed
He's
to
a
fall
speed
off a
demon
cliff.
that is no longer quick.
He saw his best days in Pittsburgh.
Sure did.
It's like they're
that's-
playing
6 years ago.
It's
yeah,
like they're
he-
playing
he's
Moneyball
kinda-
with old wide receivers, though.
Yeah,
Just
Mike
like the
Wallace-
Panthers did with Jericho Cotchery and
Jason
also
Avant and all these
Jason
guys who-
Avant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ran that
Yeah,
third, fourth
Mike
receiver
Wallace
for you guys.
is kind of that old retread that he might add some veteran presence to your receiving core, but he's probably not going to produce that much. going
Nah,
into this year.
I don't think you can expect him to. But Justin Forsett coming back from injury as well.
I
That
like him.
offense is a complete question mark if you just base it alone on, well, when was the last time you all played football together? And you know what? A year off from the league, it takes some getting used to. Just ask Sam Bradford.
I mean,
Ask Michael Vick.
and I mean,
He did it.
Flacco is
I know,
31.
that's what I'm saying. He was the only freak to
He's
come
the
back
exception.
and just.
He's the
Flacco
outlier.
is 31 years old now. So we're talking about a guy going from both ACL and MCL tears
Terrible.
and coming right back at age 31.
Look what Carson
now,
Palmer did last year at age 37.
Now, we're also talking about an
success
old
stories.
wide receiver in Steve Smith, though. He was thinking about retiring. Now, he could be one of their biggest weapons. Pro Football Focus has him rated with their highest grade, 92.0. Well, the highest grade on the Ravens, 92.0. And, I mean, but he was thinking about retiring. I think he wants to come back just to prove he can do it. How much does he really have left in the tank? They got Ankin. They got more. So what are we? Joe Flacco. Forsett also got injured last year. Forsett's also coming off an injury. But that's a pretty easy, month of September that they got going on there, starting off with the Bills, going to the Browns, Jags, and then getting to the Raiders. I mean, Washington won the East. They got them the following week, but I don't have any faith in Washington.
The biggest question is going to be, can they keep the points off the board against Buffalo? Can they stop Sammy Watkins? Can they stop,
Tyrod Taylor, he's a little mobile.
But not only
LaShawn
that,
McCoy.
also let's not forget that these, Rex and his brother are,
Defense.
grieving. From a loss of a family member. So this season's going to be a
Might
lot
be a little
more
extra
personal
fire.
for them.
Absolutely.
So that defense, especially game one, is going to be going out there to take one for the team. And the fact is that they have to even go, I don't know. I think they're going to lose to Buffalo, win against Cleveland, but it's going to be an ugly win. And then Jacksonville, they're gonna lose. I'm sorry. That's gonna be. Jacksonville's pretty nasty. They're young, but honestly though, with young teams as well, with the lack of experience, you're gonna make some mistakes, and sometimes you can fix a mistake throughout the course of the game, but sometimes some mistakes you can't bounce back from.
Flacco's a veteran. He won't make those same mistakes, and he'll come out on top.
So, with that being said, that's a toss-up as well. And then by the time they get to week 4 now, they're going up against a Raiders team where they have to win now.
Yeah, the next 4 are Raiders, Redskins, Giants, Jets.
Yeah, you have
That's
to
a tough-
win
that's a tough
one.
October.
It's a tough
Yeah.
division in general. They don't even touch the Steelers.
Well,
or
that's what I was
Bengals.
gonna
Yeah,
say.
That's
Yeah.
when it
I think
really
we've
gonna
talked-
get
Are
hairy.
playing in a tough division. I don't even see the Ravens. I have them at the lower end of that division.
Well, that's what I want to
Got it.
say. Let's close things up on the Ravens. We're about to start talking about some things going on in Denver. But real quick, why doesn't everybody tell me, off from the hip, who's going to take the AFC North? Starting with Colin, we'll come down the line. Colin, who's got the AFC North?
Bengals.
Sean?
Cincinnati.
I will go with, I'm going to be different, Steelers.
I already said it before, and I'm going to stick to my guns. Baltimore.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll see. But let's get over into Denver and talking about that quarterback spot. Brock Osweiler went to Houston. Peyton Manning's on his way to Canton. All right.
Oh,
Well,
boy.
Sylvester Williams says he knows who the starting quarterback will be in Denver for week 1. Now, Sylvester Williams is the defensive tackle, and he expects the veteran Mark Sanchez to win the job over Trevor Siemian and the rookie Paxton Lynch, number 1 overall. Not number 1 overall. Broncos number 1 draft picked 31st overall.
After making a statement like that, he should be glad that it's the off season and the drug testing hasn't kicked up yet, because I don't see that happening.
Who would you
But
prefer, though?
Sanchez
I
has.
would give Paxton Lynch a chance.
Oh, you guys are crazy.
No, I'm with you.
You guys are crazy.
Sanchez is a career 1-for-1 touchdown to interception ratio.
And Sanchez has
and-
played 72 games
and-
and 4-2 in the playoffs.
4-2 in the playoffs. That's such a
he
huge
also
number, and he went
fumbles
there with
off
his
of his
defense.
butt.
Yeah,
4-2 in the playoffs.
we all love that play, but that play can't define a career.
Exactly, and he went to the AFC Championship back-to-back years.
His career numbers are better than Peyton Manning's were last year by a pretty decent margin, and they're Super Bowl champions, and they brought back the anchor of that defense in Von Miller that got them there in the first place. Akeem Talib is still there. There's still talent to Marcus Ware. They're going to be the best team if Mark Sanchez is lining up under center.
There is a lot of talk, though, of Trevon Siemian. They're saying that they like him a lot, but it sounds like just hype to keep Sanchez with a fire on his butt, because I don't really believe it.
As long as
But
he
if
doesn't
you
fumble off of it.
if you read the reports, like, people are high on Simeon. But according to Williams, he says right now they're all 3 being the quarterbacks, all those guys are getting equal reps. So I don't think either one of them has created any advantage at this point, because they haven't consistently been working with the ones yet.
Okay.
Now, he said this on Sirius XM NFL radio on Wednesday. He goes on to say, but I think I'm going into camp. I think Coach Kubiak kind of let us know he's going to go with Mark and gave Mark the opportunity to see what he can do, then go from there.
Do you guys think a strong preseason out of either other quarterback would make a difference? Because
Yes, I do. Yes.
I think it's an easy job for him.
What if
to
it's
lose.
Paxton Lynch
It's-
though?
it's-
There.
Then
It's
go
Mark
for it.
Oh well, yeah.
Sanchez's
Then
job.
yeah, I guess.
I think that's fair. I think
It's really
preseason will
Mark
tell a lot.
Sanchez's job to lose because he's obviously the guy with experience there.
Absolutely. If he comes out and has a terrible preseason, then there's no way that the fans, they'll be vocal out there in Denver. They're the champs. They don't want to go through a nonsense season if they know that Sanchez is going to run in there and start throwing 3 picks a game. They'll rather ride the rookie. They're
at the
that
same-
confident in
but
their
at the same
defense, and
time,
they should
but
be.
at the same time, because of the fact that they won the Super Bowl last year, there's that lull in there where Denver fans might be a little bit more lax about what happens
True.
with what
Yeah.
they actually
True.
show on
Yeah.
the field.
Sure.
So if Mark Sanchez is under center week 1, which he probably will be because it's Mark Sanchez's job to lose, he's probably not going to lose it to a rookie or a guy like Trevor
Siemian,
Siemian. And they're gonna run that team based on the run, and they still got that defense there in Denver.
They'll be
And
fine
they're,
in that
gonna-
division.
they're gonna run the ball, and they're gonna
It's Kubiak
put,
team.
they're gonna put the game in the hands of the defense. Give us the ball back, and we'll do what we got to do to keep the game, out of the other team's hands.
And let's not forget they do have 2 talented wide receivers in Thomas and Sanders. So there are valuable weapons.
Thomas was very inconsistent last year.
And that's has a lot to do with the quarterback play, but at the end of the day, he still got his targets and he still got his
Mark
yards.
Sanchez is a guy that can actually hit an open receiver.
Exactly.
here
But
and
he'll also
there.
throw the pick that you'll just be
That's
wondering why
that's
he threw
true.
that ball.
That's true, but I think Mark Sanchez, as much as I didn't like watching him play for the Eagles, he's still a guy that can at least get the job done, and he's probably going to do a better job than Trevor Siemian or Paxton.
I agree.
He
off the
might
bat.
be number 32, but he's one of the top 32 quarterbacks.
So not to backtrack too much here, all right? But now, pick 1, pick 2 with quarterbacks. Is Jared Goff gonna have, a career season this year, being given
Like an Andrew Luck
the
type
reins
season.
of the team, and come
No.
in?
No,
No.
I wouldn't,
disagree,
I wouldn't
yeah.
guess so.
No, I don't
wouldn't
think so either.
Because think about
He
it,
was
he's got
high-
Todd
he was not-
Gurley. and-
nobody was even talking about Jared Goff or
Either of these
Carson
quarterbacks,
Wentz
yeah.
until like
People
a couple-
wanted to
a
start
couple-
trading
a
up
couple
for
weeks
him.
before the draft.
Yeah, even before the
think Jared-
combine, they were like, no quarterback is really first
I
round
think
worthy.
Jared Goff is highly overrated. The Rams were just looking to get their poster boy.
Yeah,
and
it's
they
With
got-
their move,
and
they wanted
and
to sell some jerseys.
Yeah, and they went up and got that number 1 pick.
Okay,
from-
so let me amend my statement and then form it into a question. Out of all these rookie quarterbacks, who's going to show the most
Goff
progress?
is still Goff.
God, I don't think anyone else besides Goff will get quite as much of
Yeah,
an opportunity.
Jared Goff is going to be the starting
Yeah,
quarterback.
I mean,
there's a good
you
chance that
referenced
he's the only
Todd
one.
Gurley. When you talk about a big season, I'm talking about an individual achievement. I don't think it will be great. But the Rams have a good defense. They have Todd Gurley, so I could see them putting together a winning season with Goff. But I don't think people, after his first year, they're not going to be looking at him like when Aaron Rodgers first dressed or when Andrew Luck came out. They're going to look at him more like Blake Bortles.
And Jared
Okay.
Goff,
That's how I see him coming into the league, like a Blake Bortles.
Jared Goff's stats as a quarterback are not going to jump off the page.
Exactly.
There's not enough weapons in St.
Yeah,
Louis.
they-
Outside of Gurley, you got nothing on the
Yeah,
outside.
LA.
But he's going to be handing. Oops. Yeah, he's going to be handing that ball off a lot. Well, do you guys want to wrap up the daily breakdown? You guys good
Yeah,
with
I
that?
just thought I was just thinking about that because it's like we were talking about all the other quarterbacks, but we kind of skipped over to the number 1 draft pick, and I was kind of thinking where
Oh, no, you're right.
where was your guys' thoughts? Because he's going to
I
be
don't
given
I don't
the
see a big
starting
season out of
position there,
Jared Goff.
basically.
Maybe he projects to be like a decent quarterback in this league, but he's going to a team that didn't have a quarterback beforehand, so all he's there to be.
Highlight
your
the
boy,
games.
your old boy
Struggles.
Nick Foles.
Yeah,
Now,
you got
uh,
Case Keenum and Nick Foles there, so
I don't buy it.
yeah.
Before we get into today's article spotlight, Colin, you made reference to Denver fans, or was it Sean? I think Sean said it. With them winning the Super Bowl, they'll be a little bit more easygoing. I think
yeah,
also what they have going for them is you got to remember both these number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks taken gave an arm and a leg to get there. Denver and the Eagles signed Bradford and Chase Daniels. The Denver, they were all the way back at 31, waited for the quarterback to come to them. They didn't have to sacrifice any pieces to get him, and they truly needed a quarterback, losing both their Super Bowl champion quarterbacks.
What's weird about Paxton Lynch too is he was actually one of the more highly touted quarterbacks before the draft, and then he ended up going late in the first round.
And it fizzled out in the late season.
Yeah, see, I think maybe Paxton Lynch, I don't think he's going to have the same opportunities that a guy like Goff is going to have.
No, he's not, because he's actually got a solid defense out there in Denver, and he's got Mark Sanchez, which we already know what Mark Sanchez is, but Paxton Lynch is and Denver has said this already. He's a project, so
they'll be patient with him.
And we don't even know if he's actually going to pan out or not. There might be some quarterback problems there in Denver in the years to come.
All right, well, let's wrap up today's daily breakdown and jump in to today's article spotlight. All right, now today's article spotlight is about Thomas Ambrosico's article up at voiceofbedlam.com. We've been doing a lot of quarterback talk tonight. You guys can also go over to voiceofbedlam.com, check out Colin's King Kojo over there, check out his Carson Wentz article. And but tonight's spotlight is on Thomas Ambrosico's MLB midseason awards. Now, this is who Tom, our writer, our MLB guy, thinks should have the AL MVP, NL MVP, and both Cy Young Award winners. Now, he goes into about 10 different categories in the article. We're only going to touch on those two. So make sure you guys go over to voiceofbedlam.com after the show and check out the article titled MLB Midseason Awards. Now, Sean, Colin, you guys are also kind of baseball guys, so I want to hear what you guys think. As the AL MVP, he's got who's he got for AL MVP?
Jose Altuve, the second baseman for the Houston Astros, a playoff team last year, a team that's been on the rise over the last couple seasons. Jose Altuve, he's a very talented baseball player. What do you think, Colin?
It's been a long time since like the Jeff Kents or the Chase Utleys 10 years ago that a second baseman has been to come in and showcase this amount of power, especially when it was unexpected. Craig Biggio, but Craig Biggio is
the last good second baseman
that
the Astros
Houston have had. Yeah, but they have the tandem right now of Carlos Correa and Jose Altuve has essentially led them, along with some strong pitching out of Dallas Keuchel last year. I know he's had a bit of a rough go, but Jose Altuve started off this season just ripping the shred off the ball, while Carlos Correa and Dallas Keuchel got off to rough starts. In fact, they started off the season, the first month they were in last place, and now they're about 8 games over 500 last time I checked, which was just a couple days ago. They're back in the wild card hunt. They're a few games behind the leading Texas Rangers, but they are right back where they should be, and a lot of it is thanks to Jose Altuve's consistent play.
Yeah, the Houston Astros have been a team that, as short ago as a couple years, the
laughing stock of the league.
Yeah, they were the laughing stock of the league even before the Phillies.
You know who drafted a lot of these guys, Sean, before we move on? Ed Wade, the same guys who drafted the Chase Utleys, the Ryan Howards of the world. So this team is put together
I got to thank Ed Wade
many years ago
for trading a couple of those now Phillies over to from the Houston Astros. And Jose Altuve was one of those guys that back in like 2011, 2012, when the Houston Astros were really bad, Jose Altuve was like their bright spot on that team, and he's still there now. And I think he's probably going to be one of those like franchise players that plays most, if not his entire career, with the Astros.
Yeah, I would imagine they're going to lock up that side of the infield. Speaking of second baseman, over in the National League, Tom gave us the MVP of Daniel Murphy. That's another one to really argue with, considering what he did in the playoffs last year for the Mets. He almost single-handedly hit his way into the World Series.
He did nothing before that.
He did nothing before that, and he did nothing in the World Series. But look at the season that he's putting up right now.
He's kind of a weird name because no one knew who Daniel Murphy was.
Until last year's playoffs.
Exactly.
The Mets had to go out and trade for what's the guy that they got, Yoenis Cespedes, in order to beef up their lineup. And then when it got to the postseason, that plus
look
Murphy
at what's going
got
on
them
with
in
the
there.
NL East right now. The Nationals are leading the division.
And the Mets are hovering around. They've had a lot of
Yeah,
injuries to their
and
pitching staff, but Daniel Murphy has.
I think they're like a couple games behind in that second wild card spot. They're
Well, you
not
know what the problem is? Daniel Murphy is on the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, well,
That's what I was.
Daniel Murphy is an interesting name because he's been actually playing pretty good ever since he moved to the second base spot in Washington, which I think was designated by Dan Ugla as much as a year ago.
Now, if he wins this MVP, it'll be back-to-back NL MVPs for Washington, with Bryce Harper having won last year.
How about the American League Cy Young winner? Speaking of guys who nobody really knew too much about until maybe as recent as last year or 2 years ago, Danny Salazar, Tom's picks for the American League Cy Young. Let's not forget that the Indians' rotation has been led by Corey Kluber for the last several years. Danny Salazar stepped in only 3 years' experience. He's throwing up 2.75 ERA, 11-3 with a WHIP of 1.19 and 125 strikeouts so far. Halfway through the year, well on his way to striking out over 200, and their rotation has led them 14-game winning streak as recently as early July.
There you go. Now, who's he got?
It's good to see the Cleveland Indians actually like doing some things. out there.
Cleveland has
And
some
the-
kind of
and the
fire
AL
under them
Central.
right now, and basketball helps.
You know what's
Yeah,
weird is that Kansas City is not playing that good this year.
Yeah, it's been tough for them to keep their
They're another one of the
players,
like
really.
we mentioned with the Denver Broncos. They just won the World Series last year, and now they're kind of not playing up to expectations.
We'll see if they go the way of the Seahawks, where they win one and fizzle out.
Now, what do you guys think about Clayton Kershaw as the NL Cy Young
the
winner?
best player in
he's
baseball.
the best. Yeah, he's the best pitcher in baseball.
He might be
Hands
the
down.
best player in baseball. Mike Trout's and Bryce Harper's are saying a lot, but Clayton Kershaw has been doing it for 7 years. And yeah, we all look at the fact that the Dodgers haven't even gotten to the World Series, and he kind of fizzles out in the playoffs. But you cannot argue with the regular season numbers that Clayton.
What
Kershaw
about
put
him
up
being
this
on the
year.
disabled list?
The Dodgers are gonna have to panic because they
Yeah,
are a
he's
team
got
built
some-
to win now. And if they don't have their best pitcher, then they're gonna start throwing prospects. They got money for days. They don't care.
The Dodgers have also been a team that are built to win now for the last, I don't know,
8 years.
Yeah, a really long time, and they haven't done anything.
Kershaw was supposed to be that savior.
Yeah, he was supposed to be one of those guys who was going to help them bring them to the promised land, and now he's got like back problems, like I think it is, and now they're talking about putting him on the 15-day
15-day DL,
He was
but
put on the 15-day DL, and now they're even talking about shutting him down for the rest of the season, which is a huge.
That's why I
blow
think
for the
you have to
Dodgers.
look for the Dodgers to start trading some of their.
Are they buyers or are they sellers at the trade deadline?
They have to be buyers. You can't sell the Los
Who are
Angeles
they
Dodgers
who are-
fans
who
on
are they
selling.
Going after? Who are they, because
They may go after
offense-
Jeremy Hellickson. He just shut down the
that
Marlins
off-
yesterday.
that
He's been on the trade
offense-
block.
But that Dodgers off.
I'm sure glad they watch
haven't
baseball.
been scoring
I
a lot
know.
of runs. The Dodgers have not been scoring. A
Well,
lot of
Adrian
runs.
Gonzalez is putting up a very lackluster year. Remember those big Josh Beckett, Adrian Gonzalez, Carl Crawford?
That's what
You
I'm
think they
talking about.
regret that? You're damn right they
Can I
did.
ask
That's
you
what I'm
guys a
talking
quick
about. The
question
Dodgers-
about
the
baseball?
Yeah,
Dodgers
go ahead,
are a
John.
team-
Go ahead. Sorry.
I watched this documentary called Fastball, and I was really intrigued by the pitcher that they showed from the Reds, Chapman.
Aroldis.
Chapman, yeah.
Threw 105 mile per hour
Yeah,
fastball
he's
like
playing
2
for the
days ago.
Yankees. I think he's an eighth inning guy now.
No, he's
just-
closing, and he's throwing 105 miles an hour. He missed the first
He
month
just
of the
did
year
that, like,
because he got
last night.
suspended
I
for
didn't know
drugs.
he was a setup guy or not a setup guy, an eighth inning guy.
No, he's closing out for the
Seventh- he
butt
was a seventh-
Yankees. They're not
seventh,
winning
eighth
any
inning
games
guy
for
or
him
Yeah,
anyway.
he's
What
when I
about him?
saw
What about him, dude?
No, I was just wondering what you guys thought about him because when I saw
Anybody
that,
that
I was
throws
like, that's a
a
freak.
left-hander that throws 105 miles an hour, he's gonna have a really long career in the in Major League Baseball.
Do you think-
Until one day he throws
because
a pitch,
he
his
is
arm falls
that
off.
is that is a commodity.
Do you think he's better than the Braves closer?
Craig Kimbrell,
Yeah.
he's been on 2 teams since the Braves. He's on the Red Sox right now. Well, me and Sean will do the baseball talk, brother.
I don't know.
All right. Well, let's
See, there we go.
let's.
I was
throws
just trying.
hard.
I felt all alone.
I
over
said
here.
I was sure glad they watch baseball because we got to start getting Tom on here because I mean I know a little bit about baseball, but little sleepy time for me. I don't really.
I
care
think he's
about
better
baseball.
than Craig Kimbrell too. I do. Kimbrell throws really hard. He's got great stuff, but Chapman throws harder and got great stuff. I'll take him.
left-handed
A lefty, too.
reliever.
Which one would you take?
A left-handed
I would take Chapman, I think.
Roll Chapman, a left-handed reliever. You're gonna have a very long career in Major League Baseball.
No doubt
because
about it.
You're a commodity.
Even when his arm falls off, he'll throw 99.
Especially a guy that throws 105 miles an hour. You could throw him in pretty much any spot in the bullpen, or you could be a middle reliever. He could be a setup guy. He could be a closer.
You'll want him on your team.
A left-handed guy that throws that hard, that strikes out. A guy that throws a 90-mile-an-hour
Yeah.
slider.
know what,
that
though?
is money. And he's young too.
You got-
Rolls Chapman's only probably like 20.
You guys need to school me
25,
on this
maybe,
game a
something
little
like that.
bit
He's gonna be
On the
in-
right
when
side of
we're
30
when we're
as
not
far as
talking
he's
about
gonna
football.
Be, he's gonna
but-
be in baseball for a long time.
Hey guys, guess what?
Yeah.
I got some football news.
What's
Let's
going on in
talk
football?
What's going on in football?
Kinda
Well, it's gonna be the highlight of our 4-minute hut.
Or what?
4-minute hut.
Okay.
Yeah. So now, I waited and I waited almost like a child on Christmas for these stats. Madden finally released the top 10.
Now, do you want to go from 10 to 1?
overall. Yeah, I'm gonna go backwards. From 10 to 1.
We got
and give
another
it-
countdown coming in tonight, too.
Yeah.
Now, this is Madden's.
So this is Madden 17 rookies, okay? All right, coming in at number 10, DeForest Buckner with a 78 overall. Now his tackle's at 86, his power's at 87, his pass rush is at 83, and his pursuit 84. I think it could be. I think that's about average, honestly.
How do all those high numbers equal out to 78?
That's what I'm
I don't
wondering.
even
Well,
There's not 170 in there.
Yeah.
They're all in the 80s.
It's
How
crazy
is his
kids at
overall
Madden.
78? That doesn't make
They're,
sense.
they're
Yeah,
probably
it should be like an 85.
height and weight because they changed the physics engine in this. So now your height and weight are actually big contributors.
Wow, he actually knows that much about it right there. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
So
got
number
next?
9,
Hey,
they
man,
got
I'm-
Hunter Henry with the Chargers, tight end, also at a 78 overall, 84 for the speed, so a little bit slower than Buckner, but coming up in front of Buckner still. Let's go into number 8. What do you think about Corey Coleman being at number 8, John, with the Browns wide receiver?
78 overall. He's got a 93 speed. His acceleration's at 93, agility 90. So he'll be able to maintain that speed throughout the game for the most part. His jumping is at 93. So yeah, I feel like that's good. I think that's a good start. But
Now, how are we going to grade the right tackle in Conklin, Jack Conklin, with the Tennessee Titans getting a 79 overall?
well, there's the
number
pass
7.
blocking and
And
the
his run
run
blocking.
blocking, and which his run blocking is at 84 and his pass blocking is at 81. And his strength is at 84. So that's really how you really evaluate him. But that speed is at 72. So I can see why he's a little bit lower. But he came in higher than DeForest Buckner. So that's a little crazy.
Now, at number 6, we got somebody who needs to hire Eugene Monroe as their agent immediately,
Yep.
and that is Laramie Tunsil. Dolphins, 78 overall, run blocking up at
Eugene
81, run blocking up at 81, pass blocking up at 84, speed of 65. How do you feel about the predicted number 1 overall draft pick being in the number 6 ranking of Madden's rookies?
He's a talented player, and the fact that what he did on the gridiron, it doesn't negate anything due to off-field conduct.
Agreed.
Now we have coming in at number 5, Joey Bosa with the Chargers. Now Joey Bosa was one of 3 Ohio State Buckeyes taken in the top 10, that being Bosa, Zeke Elliott, and the Giants' Eli Apple, cornerback, looking to be the nickel. Now all 3 of those guys are all projected starters. How do you feel about Bosa with a 79 overall?
I think it's a little high, but just like how Madden does throughout the year, they do make stat changes. If they made somebody a little bit better than what they are performing at, they will make those changes. Some people take it to the next level and do it before Madden does the mass, changes throughout the weeks, but they stay with that. And honestly, I can see his numbers are right around what you would think, for a solid linebacker. Left end, I should say. I'm sorry, but yeah, I still think a 79 is a little too high. I think I would see him at more of a 76 overall, and that's not like to say that he's not talented and doesn't deserve to be at 79. I just think that because of the experience factor, because the experience factor is a very big thing when it comes to game time decisions, because you need somebody that's seen play in order to make an effective decision out on the gridiron,
Now,
especially
how do you
at the
feel-
pro level.
How do you feel about a kicker being at number 4?
That's the
That
one
is
that
weird.
got me a little bit
It's very
irritated.
weird.
is the easiest job in this sport, though. Would you guys have been surprised if he's like, well, he was pretty good in college?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. Let's just give him a 95.
Yeah. You can't tell me the game's that much
Kickers
faster for the extra point.
What do you feel?
Kickers are not even really part of the team, are they?
Oh, you can't say that.
Oh,
You
no.
can't say
That's
that, man.
disrespectful.
They're back there.
They
Dude,
always
back
lead
there.
their team in career points by the end of their careers.
Yeah, and besides
Most of
that,
the
how
time.
many times is a kicker?
I like Mike Missinelli.
How many times has a
What-
kicker won the game, won the Super Bowl, won the championship
I'd
in
have
the
been a
closing
terrible
you
seconds?
see-
four.
yeah, but the kickers, they don't even sit on the bench. They're back there kicking field goals into a net.
Good.
So
Dedication.
You're putting him as number 4.
Well, it's a video game. It's based off numbers.
But honestly, if this was the draft class that Sebastian
Janikowski.
Janikowski came in, I would put him in the top 5.
This is the
definitely.
longest anyone's ever talked about a kicker on an NFL podcast in the history. of
Especially in a
sports.
video game.
This is
Now,
amazing.
we got the
Love
man
it.
taking Eugene Monroe's spot, that being Ronnie Stanley, first offensive lineman off the board after Tunsil fell with a run block of 83, pass block of 86, and a 79 overall grade out there with the Ravens. Now we got the other Ohio State product, Ezekiel Elliott, halfback with the Cowboys, 92
Number
on
2.
speed. I thought they would have had him maybe a little bit higher than a 92 on speed.
Honestly,
80 overall.
Like I said, they'll make changes throughout the year. This is the preliminary stuff. This is just to get the game going.
How often do
I-
they
I-
change the stats, John?
Usually it's like bi-weekly that I see honest
They
changes.
update it, yeah.
But
Throughout
like
the
I said,
season.
there's hardcore people
I
that will
always
do
felt
it
like-
daily.
I always felt like the rankings of players was a little bit low for my liking. Like they put guys like
I agree.
Ezekiel Elliott as like an 80 overall. Like I would probably have him at least in the mid 80s, if not higher than that.
And I don't understand because, I mean, his speed's at a
The
90, his
experience.
acceleration is at a 90, his agility is at a 91, speed's at a 92. Well, let's get to number 1 for Madden 17's rookie rankings, coming in at an 82 overall out of Florida State, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, Jalen Ramsey, the cornerback. 93 on the speed, 94 acceleration, 90 agility, and I don't know what those last
Man
two are.
coverage is 85, zone coverage is 84. So he's kind of split between the two pretty well.
I'm not surprised Ramsey is up there.
No.
I'm a little bit surprised though that Miles Jack wasn't somewhere.
It's the knee injury. I'm sure
Yeah,
he'd be
the
on this
injury.
top
Injury, you
10.
think?
Yeah, I think so. Because
If-
I think they
if
try
it
to
wasn't
keep
for
it
the injury,
consistent
then
with
he'd-
what's going on in reality.
If it wasn't for that injury, then he would probably
Top
be in the
5,
top
I would
10.
say.
You know
Yeah,
what would be
easily.
fun to do?
I don't see no Jared Goff.
I don't see no Bell.
I don't see no Jared Goff
Carson
either.
Wentz.
You know what would be fun to do?
That's fine.
Basically, in theory,
No, I'm
they're
just saying,
saying
number 1 and number 2
aren't
picks
there.
are not, relevant
That's
in the top 10.
Maybe a first ever.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
That's
I don't
just-
know.
No.
We have this article dating back to 1992 and maybe the first Madden game out. But
but
Yeah,
if-
whatever.
If
I'll
you
have to
guys
check it
think
out.
about it,
Yep.
right? This is who the computer sees as the best overall selections. Okay, basically, because with the highest grade. So if you were to do a draft like that, now who had the number 1 pick?
Tennessee started
So
with
Tennessee. So let's imagine if Tennessee took Jalen Ramsey at number 1, and number 2 was the Eagles, and the Eagles got Zeke Elliott, and then with the
or
number
Cleveland Browns
3.
originally had it.
The Eagles
Yeah.
would
Yeah,
be
yeah.
looking a lot better.
No, but I'm
Yeah,
saying with
you
the
might be
trades.
right about
with
that,
the
sure.
trades.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure,
So
sure, sure.
actually, it would be Rams with Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Eagles with Zeke Elliott.
All those teams might look better.
I
Honestly, they took the
Let's see.
patient route.
Who had the
You have
third
to
overall
invest in
pick?
quarterbacks. It was the Chargers who took Joey
Yeah,
Bosa.
Bosa.
who
Yeah, okay,
does
so they
find his
would've
way
got-
onto this list.
they
I
would've
wanted
got-
the Eagles to take Ezekiel Elliott so bad because that running game. Well, actually, what I should say is every aspect of the Eagles' offense is going to be questionable going into this year.
The
But
Eagles,
if-
yeah, they
But
have a more
if
prolific
the
offense
Eagles
than them.
had snagged Ezekiel Elliott, at least there would be a very bright spot in that running game.
There's no doubt about it.
So in this
And he
scenario,
would have been a starter from before OTA.
why is everybody look? I like Ezekiel Elliott too, but why is everybody crowning this guy God already? Like, what do you mean he would have been so great? He has yet to take an NFL snap. People got him going like 3rd overall in
All right,
fantasy
Andrew,
drafts. What is the
look,
deal?
Look at how much the running back position has been devalued in the draft.
Yeah,
You're seeing star running
The
backs
value,
going.
they're one of the top ones
no,
taken.
no,
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 that's
no,
not
they are
normally.
They're not. Running
Not
backs.
since Trent Richardson.
Trent Richardson, yeah,
Yeah,
number 2.
running backs are not really going necessarily until like at least the second round.
No, like
And
the third round.
Yeah, well, I'm saying I'm being generous, but second round at the very earliest. Now Ezekiel Elliott was taken 4th overall.
That's why we're talking.
That-
Just like
What
Trent
about
Richardson.
Adrian
Ezekiel
Peterson? I see
Yeah, we
Adrian
talked about
Peterson
him.
going in the first round.
Ezekiel Elliott is going
He's
to
an
be
anomaly.
He's going to be leaps and bounds better
Adrian
than
Peterson.
Trent Richardson.
Adrian Peterson's been in the league for over a decade.
He's
ago.
one of the best who's
It
ever
wasn't.
lived.
It wasn't like that a decade ago. It's been like this since Trent Richardson, basically.
Well,
Sure.
Trent Richardson is going to end up being I don't even know how to put it. Like
Out of the league.
well, Trent Richardson as highly coveted
He got
as
picked
he
up by
was.
Baltimore. He's
Yeah, he's
is
on the
not
Ravens,
is
so.
not going to, I mean he's his career he's been an absolute flop, but I don't see that happening with Ezekiel Elliott.
Behind the offensive line.
Nobody. All I'm
That-
saying
I
is
just
nobody
don't-
saw
I
it
just don't
happening
see
with
it.
Ryan Leaf, Tavares Jackson.
Yeah.
Nobody saw it happening with RG3. That's a little different of a situation. But I mean, plenty of people never seen it happening.
Ezekiel Elliott is also going into a perfect
I'll give you
spot
that.
in
Yes,
Dallas.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
He has no one in front of him. I mean, Alfred,
there were two
not
guys
even,
in
not
front
even
of him.
Alfred Morris is going to beat him out. I don't think. Alfred Morris.
Alfred
Oh
Morris
no,
of the
no. Zeke
1999
Elliott
Mazda?
will he'd probably be the workhorse of that backfield as long as he knows the playbook.
He might not necessarily be the bell cow. He might not be the 3-down back, but you're going to see.
No, there's not going to be a
You're going to
3-down
see
back.
a ton of Ezekiel
Yeah,
Elliott.
I think he'll be featured the most, but I don't think
Exactly.
there's going to be a 3-down back. But why don't we have a lot of serious conversations. Let's get into something a little bit more fun now. Now, I'm talking
because
about
football is definitely not fun.
a Bedlam's Big Ten. Now, we're getting a little generous with tonight's Big Ten. See, we got to 9 movies, right? And we're like, okay, so what's number 10? And all 4 of us came up with a different answer. So then it turned into Bedlam's 15. And then at number 15, all 4 of us came in with a different answer. And now we're up to Bedlam's Big 20 best movies of all time. Now let's get things moving here, starting it off good and new. We're talking about the CBGB's movie. All right.
Great
Now,
film.
this did not do very well with the critics, but when it comes to the Bedlam critics, this movie was phenomenal.
It was a
So
punk
make
rock
sure
themed show.
you guys check out CBGB's. Number 20, Al Pacino in Scarface. That's number 19, Al Pacino in Scarface. Happy Gilmore, Adam Sandler up at number 18. A little bit of discrepancy with the group among that one. Followed by Star Wars coming in next. Also, a little bit of argument there. Okay, and then we're coming in with a
You don't
Bronx,
get one.
a Bronx Tale. That would be
16.
yeah, 16, A Bronx Tale, Robert De Niro's directing debut. Office Space coming in at number 15. Now, first Kevin Smith one we're putting in there, Mallrats at 14. Kicking it over Quentin Tarantino's way, checking it out, Reservoir Dogs at number 13. SLC Punk coming in at number 12. Then we're going to go with Johnny Depp, go back in time, go run some drugs across the border and watch Blow with Johnny Depp. And then from there, now a lot of people are going to say this movie should have been number 1. But we're going to go Godfather. Next up, The Departed. We're talking Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Wahlberg. That was
fantastic.
Jack Nicholson. How did we say Jack Nicholson fourth? Phenomenal movie, The
And
Departed.
Leo was in that, right?
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah, that's right. I was like,
Then
yeah, that's
we're
right.
going in with The Godfather 2. Yeah, I like 2 better than 1. Robert De Niro in number 2. They go back to Sicily. A lot of subtitles. That kind of makes me mad. But I like seeing Marlon Brando, Don Corleone, his character portrayed as a young Sicilian hood. Pretty awesome. Then we're going to go into Kevin Smith's next one that I threw on here. We're talking about Dogma. I love me some Jay and Silent Bob. I love Jason Lee. Dogma, one of the best movies of all time. Then coming in, Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro again in Goodfellas. All right. Then we're going to go to a Jim Carroll movie, The Basketball Diaries, starring
Number
Leonardo
5.
DiCaprio at number 5. Talking about Jim Carroll's life based off the diary, the book, Basketball Diaries. Then one of my favorite zombie movies of all time, the best punk rock zombie movie, Return of the Living Dead. Now at number 3, real controversial here, throwing in American History X. Now, number 2 and number 1, big argument in my mind. We could not decide. We got Quentin Tarantino with Pulp Fiction. So many stars in that. Coming in at number 2, and Clockwork Orange. Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange as the number 1 best movie of all time in Bedlam's Big 20.
You know, I think there's, now that I'm thinking about it, I think we missed out one that should have been in there.
So we're going to do Bedlam's Big 25? What do you got missed?
Fight Club, man.
Oh! Bedlam's Big 21, Fight Club, number 21, without a doubt.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Fight Club is a
Project
good movie.
Mayhem.
No argument.
Yep, great.
Oh,
Fight
man.
Club is a great movie.
Yeah, it's great. Okay.
See, like, yeah. So apparently we found what the next podcast is going to be.
It's just gonna be
gonna
strictly
It's gonna be
movies.
talking
It's just
about
strictly
movies.
us talking about movies and
But
stuff.
we said a lot of
We
names.
talked a lot about number 1, number 2. We
Now,
talked
yeah,
about
let's
it
talk
for
about
at
the
least
top
5 or
3, actually.
5 or 10 minutes.
Let's talk about
I definitely could have put Pulp
Pup,
Fiction.
pup, 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 pup.
I could have put Pulp Fiction as my number 1, and easily put Clockwork Orange as number 2, because Pulp Fiction. You know how much that movie. I love that movie.
I want to say a line, but I can't think of one that I can say.
It's a classic to me, and you know what I do with Pulp Fiction?
Would you give a guy a foot rub?
Dusk Till Dawn was also
would you
good.
give a guy a foot massage? Bleep you.
Royale
I
with cheese.
like Tarantino. Now, my
A
question for
Royale
you
with
guys:
cheese.
do you guys watch any of the foreign action films and stuff?
Because
I was gonna throw out The Protector.
I wouldn't know.
Never
any of this,
know.
yeah,
I don't know.
right.
Ombak. Oh man, Tony Jaa is one of the nastiest dudes I've seen in a martial arts film, and he does all his own stunts. And yeah, if you're not watching that, definitely catch up on that.
I watch Pulp Fiction maybe once a year, because to me it's like I make a day out of it. Like, on my
Pulp
day
Fiction
off,
day?
I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna cook some bacon. I'm gonna eat a
Cook
sandwich.
some bacon.
I'm gonna sit on my couch.
Oh,
I'm gonna
slather
watch
in
Pulp
cheese.
Fiction.
You're gonna put a Pop-Tart in the oven, and when it goes off, get shot.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
John
yeah, yeah,
Travolta.
exactly.
Talk
Yeah,
stuff.
little
Really
touch
get
around.
it.
But wait, I want to talk about number 3 a little bit here. Now, we put American History X with Ed Norton. All right. Now, in this, Ed Norton is a gang, part of a white supremacy skinhead gang, right?
And a grown-up
This-
John Connor.
This movie is so phenomenally directed and scarring almost. Like, it's literally
There are so
scarring
many scenes
almost.
that stick in your head
The
that
final
will not
scene,
go away.
yeah, I don't want that bathroom scene at the end of the movie has got to be one of the
Edward
most
Norton's little brother.
don't say what happens though. We can't play spoilers. That movie,
Yeah.
that is the climax of the movie. I mean, I could almost put American History X at number 1 because of the ending of that movie.
It was a good one.
And because of the shower scene. The shower scene in prison, that was scarring. That was scarring. It was so real. The way that movie was directed.
You don't
And
have
it really shows you how bad it really is and what your life really is like
I don't
in a
s-
gang.
Other than the Return of the Living Dead, I didn't see too much horror. Are you guys fans of horror?
Well, I got Return of the Living
really.
Dead. I had it at number 3, but
Yeah.
I couldn't disrespect American History X like that. I could have thrown on Evil Dead, especially Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead.
The
is
original
awesome,
Night of the
man.
Living Dead. We can go back with Boris Karloff and go King of the Zombies. Do you know what I mean? We can go I Eat Your Skin. I know.
Snakes on a
I know my
Blade.
monster movies.
I know the
horror movies.
I know
I
the
like the
classics.
I like the freaky horror films, like the
Like-
French film High Tension. If you ever seen that.
I know more like old horror movies.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like if you want to talk like Attack of the 40-Foot Woman
Yeah, for some reason, like
or Them.
France and I think Japan, they just have the most dope horror films
Well,
that
Japan's
just make you.
friggin' nuts.
Yo,
Yeah.
I watched this
You guys,
Japanese horror
like-
film called Audition. Right, this guy he took a lady. He used his friend who's a movie producer to set up a fake audition. He picked the wrong girl, okay? And the torture scene in that thing is just ridiculous. It made me like not talk to my girlfriend for like at least 3 days because I was like, nah. She's like, let me get your laundry for you. No, no,
When
no.
it
I'll
comes
get
to
my
horror
own
movies,
laundry.
Do you guys like monsters? You like one guy just
I like
coming after
zombie.
everybody?
No, I'm a zombie guy.
But do you just like straight up gore?
I like
No, I want
survivor
gore,
horror. Yeah,
and I
like
want
gore.
it to be
You want
big.
gut- you
I
want
want it to
guts
look fake.
spilling out.
I want it to be like Kill Bill, Crazy 88, blood splashing everywhere. Return of the Living Dead.
That's how I like it, too.
Brains,
If it wasn't
fresh
so redundant, I wish
brains.
that the Saw movies would continue.
Yeah,
It's coming
I know,
out next
yeah.
year. There's a new
The
one
Saw movies are
coming out
so-
next year.
Really?
There's
Yeah,
the
there
Saw
is.
movies were
Oh,
so
wow.
That's been confirmed
underrated.
within the last week or so.
The way
You know,
There's
I
a
didn't
new
see
Saw.
like the last 2 of them to be
Well,
honest.
Eli
I saw-
Roth is
I saw
a
up to- I
nasty
saw up to-
genius.
I think 6. Those movies, like this, the crazy crap that they put people through.
Really creative.
The victims.
Good
Like
writing.
when
Yeah.
that, when that
Creative,
in
man.
Saw 2, when the girl gets thrown into that pit of syringes.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's exactly. I always go there too. That's one of the first things. You're always going to think of the foot being cut off and the girl getting thrown into the syringes. Those are the two things. When I say Saw, that comes to my
Those
mind.
movies are underrated.
I didn't know they were underrated.
Nah,
I thought,
nah,
they
I
were-
thought, yeah,
There's a-
that's
well, we
probably
don't
one of
have
the
them on the top
last
20.
most
They're-
successful
as far
horror
as
series.
horror movie buffs go,
Yeah,
horror
he's
movie
right
buffs
though.
Hate Saw. They hate him.
He's right. He's kind of like the Tom Brady of horror movies.
That's because they took like what
Saw's
Wes
about 4
Craven,
Super Bowls.
because think about it. Before then, Wes Craven was known for using the most blood
Oh,
in film.
Freddy
Yeah,
was
yeah.
my favorite. I loved the whole Freddy franchise. I love the 3D one. I love I love Freddy vs. Jason. I love the 7th one where it's not even a real movie, where it's supposed to be like a documentary, but
Freddy versus Jason versus Mega Shark.
No, it's
versus
before
Giant
Freddy
Octopus
versus
versus Sharknado 14.
nah, it's before
I'd
Freddy
watch
versus
that.
Jason.
Yeah, it's although I did like the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. They really did it. It
Never
was
saw it.
the guy who played
I didn't like the way he
Rorschach
looked. I didn't see it
from,
either.
I didn't like the way he
did-
looked, and I
I
refused to
did
watch
see
it.
the
Oh,
remake
man.
of Friday the 13th. Yeah.
What about Rob Zombie's
Awesome.
Halloween?
Awesome.
Right?
Awesome.
Halloween.
Anything with Sherry Moon Zombie is awesome. First of all, should have put Devil's Rejects or House of a Thousand Corpses.
that's
that could
another-
be 22 and 23.
That's
right
what I'm
there.
saying. Like,
Did you
I'm
guys,
think-
did
yeah.
you guys, speaking of Rob Zombie movies, did you guys see El Super Bisto?
Yeah, the cartoon? It's awesome.
movie.
Oh,
What-
I
the
seen
Haunted-
that. I
the
never
Haunted
watched
World
it.
Of El Super Bisto.
Yeah,
That's the
it's got.
full name of the movie.
I thought it had what's his name in it? The clown in it. It's not the clown. What's his name?
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Paul
It's been-
Giamatti plays like the devil, like he's the bad. He plays the voice of the bad guy in that movie.
I've never heard of it.
No, it's a cartoon.
I
right?
watched
It's
it.
a
I watched
cartoon. It's
it
a
a
Rob
while
Zombie
ago on
animated
Netflix.
like full-length feature film.
But let's just run through the top 10 again. We did like a top 25. The top 10 being The Godfather, Departed, Godfather 2, Dogma, Goodfellas, Basketball Diaries, Return of the Living Dead, American History X, Pulp Fiction, and A Clockwork Orange.
You know, what,
I mean-
honestly though, I don't think that that this list, the way that we were so enthusiastic about the titles, I don't think that we really numbered these correctly. I think
I
if
will tell
anything,
you the
that-
good
top
reorder,
3
like-
is the top 3.
like
The top 5 is the top 5. I would say the top 10 is absolutely correct. Once we got past 10, kind of just started throwing names in there and didn't really rank them.
The-
But I think the top 10 is
I
right.
could
I don't
definitely
know.
switch number 1 and number 2 and not have a problem with it at
That's
all.
fair.
Yeah,
I could agree. I can agree.
Clockwork Orange. Yeah, if you're not into
Dude.
the lingo and stuff that they use from,
Yeah, you gotta
'cause-
read the
you
glossary
Well,
there.
then
You gotta
that's
read
too
the-
bad for you,
You
if
gotta
you
read,
don't like
you
it.
gotta read the novel to actually like know.
yeah,
what's
the
going
novel's
on.
dope.
No.
Well, actually, no. I gotta say, you actually gotta watch the movie to actually get a visual of what they're talking about before you read the novel. Because you read the novel first, you're not gonna.
I
know
get
what's going on.
visuals when I
Both are
read.
fantastic. Recommend
Maybe I'm-
them
maybe
both.
I
I'm
read
crazy,
the
though.
novel actually twice.
I don't like the way the novel ends, though. I like the way the movie ends.
Did you know there was an
end
that
the
extra
novel
chapter?
differently.
See, in
Yeah.
the end of the book, Alex, the way the movie ends, they think he's brainwashed. He's brainwashed. He jumps out of the window while they're playing Beethoven. Right? He wakes up in the hospital. And then he has that sexual fantasy in his head showing you, like, this stuff didn't take. But that's how I always interpret it. Do you know what I mean?
In the
And he
book-
was going to
in
go
the
back
book,
to
he
his ultra-violence.
Yeah,
In the book, he
doesn't
runs
do
into
that.
Pete, who
Yeah.
really doesn't have a part in the movie. He only says right once. That's his only line in the movie. Pete, Georgie, and Dim, his droogs. But he only says that once. In the book, he comes in the extra chapter and converts Alex from his ultra-violence and helps turn him into a productive member of
Or-
society. And I didn't really care
Or
for
maybe
that part.
the fall. Or
I
maybe,
like the one where it ended in Bedlam.
Wouldn't we?
or maybe
Says the voice of Bedlam.
just maybe, from that fall, there was so much blunt trauma to the brain that it caused him to have retrograde amnesia.
or CTE.
Oh, so are you CTE?
CTE.
Roger
Which can
Goodell.
change a man.
See, bringing it right back to football, guys.
Yeah, maybe. That's what I'm saying. But regardless, though, in the book, it flat out, he runs into Alex, and then he runs into him, and Alex introduces him to his wife. It's this terrible, terrible ending, in my opinion, that whole last chapter of how he just grows up and he's a normal person.
Speaking of terrible endings, they're redoing It
Yeah, they are.
I'm not a Stephen King person.
I'm a big Stephen King.
I
person.
can't stand
I'll
it.
watch it.
I-
I didn't see the first movie or read the book, but I'm a Stephen King guy. I've read enough of his stuff to be a fan.
That's a book worth reading.
I will check it out.
Wait,
Tell me
I'm
about
just
Except
it.
for the
curious,
ending, it's just gonna frustrate you,
if
just like
you're-
everything else. Like it's probably on the
playing
same frustration
Pennywise
level as
that
Dreamcatcher.
I forget the last name of the guy.
That
Somebody I've never
movie-
heard
is
of.
that the one where they like transform and morph?
No, there was.
What's the one where they can morph?
No,
What's
no,
the-
no.
Animorphs.
Here's Dreamcatcher. Done it.
I don't know. I didn't like any of the Stephen King ones.
Oh,
I mean,
man,
because I
that
love
was-
horror
it was
movies,
pretty good, though.
But his are suspense. It's like the last 5 minutes of the movie is awesome. The hour and a half it took me to get there was terrible.
Well, have you ever read one of his books? Like,
No.
That's how he
Feels-
writes.
Yeah,
I read Pet Cemetery.
Like Pet Cemetery. I don't even
The
really
Ramones
like
wrote a
that
song
that
about
much.
it. So
And it's like the Ramones' worst song.
wow.
they wrote a song about it. Though.
It is definitely like their worst
I like
song. Like
I
one
like
of them.
that song. I don't want to be. Yeah, it's a good song.
All right, guys. But I mean, it was a lot of fun hanging out with the whole VOB crew. It was great to get young Mr. King Kojo Colin Johnson actually in the overwhelmingly hot studio.
Yeah, right.
Good to be here, guys.
All right. But good having you in there.
I'm
We
wearing
got
basketball
Devil John
shorts.
on the mic. I mean, we got Sean hanging out with us doing the Johnson Squared thing. But before we get out of here, let's get a little bit of this free plug party in. Remember, guys, check out bigleagueshirts.com. Check out Kyani Viral. Go to podbean.com/r/Bedlam and get your free month of Podbean with unlimited data. Remember, guys, we're having a huge Bedlam's Fantasy Blowout, Mother's Bar and Grill, August 20th. Probably kick things off around 5. We're doing the draft there. There's a couple other drafts going on, and it's all going to get capped off with a show. So get there for some good, cheap beer and probably some good, cheap women. I mean, let's just be honest.
And not
it
only
is
that,
Mother's, and we'll have
and
a
not
good
only
time.
that, if you want to be part of the action, make sure that you email staff@voiceofbedlam.com and get signed up before August 1st, because August 1st we're closing the gates.
All right, guys, check out voiceofbedlam.com. All the awesome articles up there. The Wentz article we talked about, the MLB article we talked about by Tom. Go over to voiceofbedlam.com. Check it all out. Go stop by our Kickstarter page. Hit me up on Twitter @AndrewBedlam and Facebook.com/VOBpod. All right, for King Kojo, for Sean Bedlam, my man Devil John on the mic and on the boards, I'm Andrew Bedlam, and we're getting the hell out of here.